All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the Monday First Look Golf Show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. Do us a favor on the way in, smash the like. It helps us out a ton, keeps these shows free, keeps them coming at you. And then, of course, subscribe to the channel. Once we get to 8,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away another PGA annual membership. So hit that subscribe. Make sure you're liking the videos on the way in. Got my guy here, Hoopster, with me. As always, got to give a shout out. Go collect first in. Off the top, a lot of good sweats this week, a lot of good wins this week. We'll cover that and congratulate everyone here with the nation celebration here in just a minute. But Hoopster, Xander ×2. We got the double major. He was a loser who could never win a tournament, but now he's got two majors. What was your thoughts on the Open? We'll cover that quick.
Yeah, I mean, a guy that couldn't win until he started winning, and now he just took home his second major, huge accomplishment. He's ascending obviously to the top. I mean, we have Scotty, number one, I think still, up there in a tier of his own. But Xander's on the doorstep, kind of knocking, getting close to opening that door. And it's been a phenomenal run for him. Just very well-rounded golfer. I mean, all the top guys are very well-rounded, but it just seems like with him, he just does everything very well. He'd been in contention a ton, obviously, before these wins started falling into place, but sometimes all it takes is one to get that confidence going, and kind of dusted the field yesterday and got the job done. So congratulations to him for sure. It was a fun event. Obviously, didn't have my greatest week. Mr. McIlroy had other plans. I took a big stance on him and did not work out so well. And it's the beauty of what we do. You forget about it, you move on, and we have a whole new week of events to contests to look forward to. But there were a lot of winners within the community. I mean, the Showdown stuff was huge. I know D-Gen won $50,000 plus, and a bunch of other members got the job done too. So it's what we always talk about. It's a community around here, community feel. I didn't have my greatest week, but man, I love seeing our community take down some big scores this week and big amounts of money back into our community. So congratulations to all the winners. You got the tweet up. You can kind of go through it and break it down for everyone, but it was a big week within the community yet again.
Yeah. And just a note too, like even just a joke about Xander, like knocking at the door and, the D-Gen, or he could, he might not win anything until he does. Like that's the kind of thing here. Newman said had some huge sweats. I know LSU Nick, who's usually in here, probably in here shortly. He had a couple sweats. I was up there in the Millie Maker and the $5, ended up like 22nd in the 888 with a 5 of 6. Like you just got to keep putting yourself into contention, and that's where it's going to happen. No different than what we saw with Xander, keeps putting himself there and then takes down two majors in the same year. I do want to say quick before we do the celebration of the nation. First off, virtual timestamps for all the people that like to complain. We are going to go through and celebrate the wins across our community on a free show every single time, every single week. So if you don't want to hear about it, jump ahead. If you do, we'll cover it. But real quick, we did this contest at the start of the year. It came down, here's the thing. It's actually hard to pick the exact winners of all four majors. Only 9 people picked 2 exact major winners right. And then Kelly Berglund was the winner in the end of the random draw out of the 9. So shout out to Kelly. Kelly is going to reach out today. They said they were a PGA only member. They will now get the $6.99 all access membership for the next 12 months for free. So we do take care of our contests down the road, even when they are months from when we began, right? We started that one way back before the Masters. As for the winners this week, just another ton of them again. We'll go through it quickly, but shout out to Kenny W, 1732. 83,000 hopped in, said new to town, howdy neighbors, popped up the Nick, the sheriff emoji. So that was nice to see, but huge week for him.
That's a good way. That's a good way to show up and, introduce yourself to the community. Hey guys, I'm here. Just won. What's that number? $83,000. Yeah. Welcome aboard.
Stosh 82, like 11,900 on $600. Just a huge ROI. Nice return on investment there. Ricardo back at it again, just absolutely dominates this format every single week, just crushing.
Man, that is very impressive because he's always winning, and then if not, like in contention, the name is just always up there, and a good guy in the Discord, in the community. So you definitely love to see that for sure.
100% supple up there, $4,000 runner up, but I'll take it. Still very nice, definitely. X Dirk A, $2,500 for him. LSU Nick was up there. He finished 24th in the main Millie, and he had the sweat overnight. I think he was sitting 33rd, had a real shot. Same thing, ends up finishing 24th. So nice to see that. Philly Phantom on fire right now. So says, thanks to the team, got 16 NFL best ball tickets, cash first in all the 10 times multipliers, wins this $2,000. And I know it's not depicted here, but he went back the next night, just a week before All-Star break. He said, I'm going to try and queue with Hebrew Cheetah into that MLB FBWC. The first slate out that he comes back into the baseball, he wins the 3470 ticket, and he'll be competing in the next mega to get into it. So just dominant, said he's going to do it, goes out and does it. Our guy Degenerate, who you talked about, just a huge weekend, not only from Classic Slate for calling the weather the whole way from start to finish on his stream, which was phenomenal. Again, the final stream for him this year for the PGA season, but he'll be back for the football season. But that major, he said, would be his last stream for a little while for those wondering, but came out and just dominated. It was like 63,000 just in this. And there was 9K in the Mega Millie off some ticket wins and stuff like that. So shout out to our guy, James, just crushed it there again for himself and for the entire community. So that was awesome to see. And then lastly, the quick one, we've went through it on enough shows by now, but if you don't understand this promo, we have to explain it quickly. If you're going to be with us for NFL anyway, coming up in a couple of months here, six and a half weeks, whatever it is, this $299 early bird special gets you the $50 off from $349. It gets you all access until September 5th, which also happens to be the end of the PGA season. So you'll get the entire PGA coverage for the 3M, the Olympics, which we, by the way, will be doing one show next week on Wednesday for the Olympics. The Wyndham is covered, and then the playoff events are covered. So if you want all that coverage for free, and you were going to be with us for NFL anyway, then it's best to pay the $299, lock in the entire NFL stuff. And then also we're including college football, which will be projections, the Stone, Core Report, Player Pool. Had a big meeting with the entire team there last week. That's $200-$300 just for that package at most other sites. And that's included for free as well. Hoop, did you have anything else you want to add before we get into the 3M Open?
Yeah, I mean, if you're someone out there that isn't a member yet and you want to, check us out for football season, now's the time to do it. It's the cheapest price we're going to have for the NFL season. And in addition to the NFL content, you get all access leading up to NFL. So the rest of July, all of August, and then, the first week of September, essentially, until the NFL season starts. So you get it all for free leading up to NFL. So if you're thinking about doing it, now is the time. And then the other group of people that should be considering this offer would be people that are PGA only members that are going to stay on for NFL. You just go ahead, make the upgrade to the NFL package, and you'll get everything for free. You'll get all the PGA, obviously, leading up, and then through swing season and whatnot, but you get all access for free until football starts. So it's like no-brainer deal that we're offering right now. Cheapest in the industry, most affordable, best value, however you want to say it. But the main point is, if you think you're going to be with us for NFL season, and we hope a lot of you give us the opportunity to earn your business and spot in our community and whatnot. If you think about doing it, now is the time. Like, there's no reason to wait.
Yeah, what Hoop just said, that's the last point. So if you're paying $39 right now for PGA only, or the equivalent with ShipIt of $50 a month, you're getting those 2 months for free. So it's essentially $100 back to you, your prorated credit of where you're currently at towards the $299, and then you're locked in. So love to see it. Lots of good stuff going on. Shout out Colin James. Me and you are on the same page. Sam Burns cost me quite a bit. I was sitting second in the $5 after round 3, 14th in the $25 Millie Maker. Burns in both of those lineups, and it did burn to watch that fall. So it's the way it goes. It's fun. We had a ton of fun over the weekend. Another major in the books, another major season in the books. Let's get on, though. Let's move on to this 3M Hoop, and let's talk just first grand scheme overview here. Anything that you think of just off the top of your head. I was at the event last year live with the Lee Hodges win there and everything going on with the Fantasy Golf World Championship. So first thoughts, and there's a guy, Kenny, $83,000 over the weekend. Shout out to Kenny. Appreciate you. Lots of other good people here in the chat, but just nice to see everybody in here. But first thoughts on the 3M Open. Let's dive into it right at the 10-minute mark. We made it.
Nice. Yeah. And congrats to Kenny, and thanks for joining in. First thing, obviously, easy course, birdie fest, weak field. And based on what I see on the first page here, pretty soft pricing. So those are the three things that stand out. Birdie fest, weak field, soft pricing in terms of DraftKings. Pretty straightforward for me. That's what I think of with this event, and then combining it with what I see on the first page here of pricing.
He's back. Rin's here. EVR WD last week. By the way, shout out to Nick Dunlap. Just an absolute baller. If you watched him last night, the 55-foot eagle at the Barracuda, he's in the field. We'll talk about him when we get there in a minute. But I'm a degenerate. I'm watching all this stuff. You know it. So I'm going out there. Patrick Rogers, if you wondered why this guy can't win, just go watch the highlights of yesterday again. 9 holes to figure it out. And the guy just cannot do a thing. He puts it in the fairway and then makes every mistake possible thereafter. My boy Mark Messier, as Mayo likes to call him, but we were trying to get him to the finish line yesterday, and he couldn't get the job done either. So, just lots of other good stuff. Andrew, who's always helping out, I give him the gears sometimes, but he said finally had a good profit being close to the last month to nuking. Let's keep the train rolling. Thanks for it all it does for its members. So love to see that. And then one more, shout out to Jason. This is Bader Bear in the Discord. He is giving, so for members watching, he's giving away a $100 single entry ticket. You'll want to be in the Discord this afternoon. It's going to be the first 200 to get in. He's going to maximize it. It's going to be a free roll, but whoever wins that is going to get a $100 single entry that they can use for the Olympics, or if they want to save it for the Wyndham. And yeah, Rin on brand with the EVR Open. So like that. And lastly, Nick, shipped my first contest of any kind in over 3 years. I could never ship a contest till I could. And that's what it's all about. Right? Keeping yourself in the game. Bankroll management, contest selection, the sustainability of the ecosystem, being able to be in there and be around for when your time comes. So, some crazy prices. Shout out to you, Pam, too. 6,700, Davis Riley. All right, Hoop, let's get into it. Birdie Fest, like you talked about it. We did cheat a little bit, right? Pre-show just said, is the 5K range in there? It's not. So interesting on a couple notes. One, it makes sense. We only have a 10-5 Tony Finau, so it's not like a 12K or a 12-5. And two, we don't want to see I don't want to see anywhere like a 5K range just with 100 guys thrown in it, just because I kind of like that they kept it back to the normal price setup when we don't have a Scotty or a Rory that's just going to blow away the field on paper. Mind you, Finau is a pretty big favorite, so I guess I'll get your thoughts starting there. But only 3 guys who 10K and above: Burns, who we mentioned, Theegala, and Tony Finau.
Yeah, so the first thing that definitely stands out is, no 5K range, which I'm pretty happy with, but it's like you still, without the 5K range, need a higher ceiling price. Like 10-5 is not going to do it. It's just going to be very easy to play multiple expensive guys. Now, these aren't the typical expensive guys that we see most weeks. This is a weak field, so the top guys here, Finau, Theegala, Burns, are the only 3 above 10K. But to me, what stands out even more, and I just counted, so the average roster spot on DraftKings is $8,333. How many guys are priced above the average roster spot on DraftKings? And this week, it's only 15. So you're going to be able to play at least, for the most part, 3 guys over 8,300 very comfortably. Most lineups will have 4, and you can probably, I'm guessing, maybe make it work with 5. Does that even add up? Yeah, you could play 5 guys over the average cost of a roster spot and still have $7,000 left if you went super balanced. So initial lean here is, some of these guys are going to be overlooked a little bit, have low ownership, but it's going to be easy to play whatever you want this week. It's going to be easy to get in if you want to play Finau and play a shit ton of Finau. It's going to be very easy to do that. Pricing very, very soft. Now, specific to the 10K range, you have Finau, you have Theegala, you have Burns. Like you said, I think it's Finau that people are most comfortable with. He's 10-1. His odds to win are much better than the others up here. Burns is 18-1. And Theegala is 20-1. So, Finau basically the double, Theegala is double the odds, 21 versus 10-1 on a guy like Finau at 10-5. So I think Finau probably gets a lot of ownership here. He's played. Has he won this? He won it, right?
Yeah, Finau won just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He won
So
last year, 3rd and 20. Like he's crushed it here.
Yeah, so he's got the course history, he's got the success here. So I think a lot of people will just say, yeah, I want Finau. I'm assuming he's going to be very highly owned at 10-5 and be very easy to play him. If you start your lineups with him, you still have $7,900 per roster spot. There's going to be a lot of cheap guys we can consider. People always like playing Thigala, and then Burns at 10K. I mean, really hasn't done anything this year. I mean, I can't really think of a time when you needed Sam Burns to win money. I mean, he's had some decent results, 9th at the U.S. Open, 10th at the Canadian Open, 13th at the Wells Fargo, but has not been great. So in terms of ownership, I think Finau gets a ton. Probably Thigala second, and then Burns would be third. When you just look at these three guys at 10K and above, and only, it's kind of lame. Only three guys, $10,000 and above.
Yeah, it's tough sledding when you get a field like this. I hear everything you're saying though completely, and that would be the take for me, just from a first look perspective and just thinking about it out loud. As you talk through all of it, there's 43 guys in the 7K range now. There's tons of guys in the upper 6K that you can get to. There's guys that people will like in the 8K. And so Finau's ownership has just got to be through the roof, right? At 10-5 only, you can play him in a million different ways. It doesn't matter how you use them. You can get him in there with Thigala or Burns. You can go skip down and say, I like Bhatia better. He's had better chances at tournaments like this. So Finau Bhatia could become popular. But I don't know if people are going to love Billy Horschel 9,600. If they're going to like to pay 9,300 for amateur Luke Clanton, even though we know how good he is and have been following this guy, are people going to want to click that? Maybe not, right? Keegan Bradley, 9,000. By the way, he was the Ricky Fowler of the Open there to congratulate Xander. First off, new Ryder Cup captain, had to be there to give the handshake. So good for him. But I do think people will gravitate more to these 8K guys, whether it's Hodges off a winning last year or Pendrith with a decent result yesterday at the Barracuda. Makes sense here. Davis has pretty good history here and should rate out well. McNeely, 8,300. So I could see it's more Finau and another stud, or like with Bhatia and above, really, I'll say 9,800 and up with Finau. And then that's really three choices. And then Finau with 8K guys that seem to stand out early on as where people would end up, because then you can round it out however you want. I just don't see a lot of people going to some of these other names. They'll feel like they're a little bit priced up, and I'll let you talk about that right now, Hoop. Like 9,600, Billy Horschel, awesome at the Open. Good for him. Really didn't do anything super wrong in the final round. He made some mistakes for sure, but besides the fact that Xander shot a 65 bogey-free round, I mean, you're not really going to overcome that, but he didn't blow up and shoot an 80 or something. So Horschel, 9,600. Talked, you can lump Bhatia in there. I lumped him into the top myself. And then other guys, Keegan, Poston, Clanton, Mitchell. Thoughts on this 9K range or how to use them?
Yeah, I mean, not your typical 9K range in terms of the talent. I mean, it falls off pretty quick. I mean, it falls off in the 10K range. I mean, you don't see those guys up there all that often. Finau has occasionally, crept up, but it's a big price tag. You get the 9K range, and it's like, wow. Bhatia, I think people feel fine playing just because he's had some win upside. Billy Horschel at 9,600. Like if that beats me this week, sweet. Like I'll take my money. I'll move on to the next thing. Mitchell has not been playing well. I think Clanton's a name people can definitely sell themselves on because it's a new name. He's been playing very solid. Obviously, had the 10th at the Rocket Mortgage, followed up with the 2nd at the John Deere. So Clanton's a name people will be fine going to, and then you have Poston and Keegan, and neither one of those guys is playing particularly well. For like 9K and above, I mean, I think Finau, Bhatia get a lot of ownership. I think people are definitely going to go to those two, and then you probably just, when you look at these names, it's like, all right, well, do I just go and pay the 10K for Burns, who maybe has a chance to win Thigala, boom or bust? This 9K range is a range people are not going to feel very comfortable with, outside of what I think would be Bhatia and Clanton, but it's rough here, and it's tough to really sell yourselves on some of these guys. But as of Monday afternoon, I don't really see myself playing Billy Horschel at 96. Like, again, like if he beats me, he beats me.
Yeah, and I'll say quickly, too, because the chat mentioned already, like Mitchell, 5th here in 2021, 5th here last year.
Okay, so yeah, people will probably get on him then a little bit.
But it's the same. I was just about to say this. Poston 11th and 2nd the last 2 years, 28th not far before that, 3 years ago. So, again, that to me, though, doesn't say chalk. That says, like, that's where it will balance out. So it'll be Finau, and then these guys will get a little bit more spread out. So you should play who you like in that range, or you could start with some 9K guys. Somebody talked about already. There's some 9K in the leverage that can work. There'd be lineups there that you could build if you wanted to move off of Finau, Thigala, Burns, whatever that might be. Maybe people shy away from Thigala because the 3 miscuts the 3 times he's played here, and he can spray it a little bit like our guy Kenny says over here. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And just to Aaron here, the chalky guy said, Degenerate did do a pretty good post about this, actually. It's like the chalk really didn't. Like Rory missed the cut. Huge ownership. Hatton Fleetwood, big ownership, miscut. Finau, big ownership, miscut. Tom Kim, pretty good ownership, missed the cut. Thigala, Bhatia were down there. Louis, big ownership, miscut, but Sungjae got T7. So, that's part of it. You see Sungjae T7. You see Lowry 6, but Kawa T16th. Like, those weren't necessarily required, and not many of the guys at the very top were the chalkiest in their range. Again, it's not just 15% is chalk. It's what if they're 15%, but everyone around them is 25 or 28 or whatever the number is. The chalk really didn't have a great week, and that's why you saw a lot of people that sort of go against that or exploit it have a little bit better. And then we talked about this last week. If you were going to go against a different wave, the AM PM, one reason just to go against it, weather aside, was that the AM PM was hosting most of the chalkiest guys. That was the other angle of attack. So just to note that as you go through, looking at it week to week, that certainly stands out as well. So I don't have much more in the 9K range, Hoop, but I do think this 8K range gets pretty popular pretty quickly. Like, this is where I think if people are going to bite the bullet, again, you say it about all those guys, Mitchell, because of course history, Poston, because of course history, but like Cam Davis, 10th, 16th, 28th, 12th, Tom Hoagie, 20th, 4th, Grillo, 3rd, 2nd, 10th, Lee Hodges, 1 here last year, 16th the year before. To me, it just tells me right away, this is where people are landing. And so even though there's course history related to those 9K guys, we know Finau is going to be popular, and we know it's probably pick a 9K and then pick a couple 8Ks. But I can see lineups having at least 2 8K guys more often than not going into this week, just first look.
Yeah, just adding on to all the good points that you made there. I mean, just kind of like the eye test. People are going to come down here to the 8K range and say, man, is there really a difference between like Taylor Pendrith and, JT Poston? No, not in their head. Is there a big difference between Mav McNeely and, Keith Mitchell? Yeah, probably not. Like, you can sell yourself on these 8K guys over the 9K guys all day long. So everything you just said, combined with the fact that you're saving money to come down here, I think this range gets a lot more ownership than the 9K range. Cam Davis, Hoagie, Pendrith has had some big wins. EVR is obviously a name people like to click, not just Rin. Our guy Rin obviously really likes to click the name, but people will like to play him at 86. Dunlap coming off the win. Hodges with the course history, like you said. And then Patrick Rogers at 8,100 playing pretty solid golf. 5th, 34th, 31st, 16th. Like, he's a guy that you look to in some weaker field events. Like, he gets his ass kicked when he plays with the big boys, but in events like this, like, you can definitely consider him. So, yeah, I think we do see a lot more ownership in this 8K range versus the 9s. All the points that you made, combined with the fact that people will just be fine saving some money and coming down here just based on what they view as the difference in talent. It's probably just not going to be much to many people when they start comparing the names and the prices. So, 8K will definitely be more owned than 9K for sure.
Yeah, that's how I see it. And just like I said, whether it's 2 or 3, I mean, you could do you mentioned earlier how you could fit 5 guys above the average if you really wanted to and go balanced. But even with Finau, you can get 3 and 4 in there pretty comfortably, at least close to that, and be able to drop down and still land in plenty of options there. So I think that's just how that shakes out. If you're going to go, maybe you could overstack that, or you could try and do the double stud up top and move away from that range. Like, there's a couple different ways. If you did the 3 9K guys or something along those lines, I definitely think there's alternatives. And it becomes one of those situations that I always talked about where you kind of just have to trust talent or upside. And just for example, like a Bhatia Clanton lineup, while they may get some individual ownership, they become more into me that range, at least early. Bhatia will get some for sure, but like Clanton might end up 14, 15, if he even gets to that level at $9,300 price tag, or a Horschel Clanton, and just say, I'll take those 2 guys, even though you think there's not much of a difference. And really there isn't with some of those 8K guys. You just have to kind of angle for that with your builds and just take that on as the roster construction being different while still taking on 2 very talented golfers as of late. So I think that's just how I would look at it. But Dunlap winning yesterday, Pendrith doing well there. People like EVR, Grillo, Hoagie, Davis have the history. Hodges definitely won it last year. Rogers hasn't been that bad here. I definitely think this is where people end up. Did you have a Rose take that I missed just thinking about last week? Obviously had himself a shot to be in the mix there. He has not played here in the past, but, qualifying for the Open and then going out and finishing second, and now here at less than average at 8,000. Do you have any quick thoughts on him before we hop into this bigger 7K range?
Yeah, nothing personal, just a name I refuse to click. Like I can't even tell you the last time I played Justin Rose, and that'll continue this week as well. I'm not playing Justin Rose.
All right. Okay. I thought you might be in on this guy after last week, but let's move on. Let's go to the 7K range. Let's do 7,500 and up. There's 13 guys there. You got Ben Griffin down to Matt Wallace. Anything that stands out for you in this one?
Well, the first thing that kind of stands out is there's so many guys here. So I think ownership probably does get spread out. I mean, just a Monday afternoon prediction. I think a lot of ownership does get spread out because when you see so many playable guys in the same price range, that's just what naturally happens. And I think a lot of these guys will come to the forefront as solid plays as the week goes on. People always like Ben Griffin. Sam Stevens continues to make cuts. The results haven't been all that great, but he's making cuts. And now in a weaker field event, which he's played in some of the more difficult ones. Not a ton. He typically lives in these weaker field events, but at 7,800, make a cut. Can you get into the top 20? Yeah. Thor at 77. I think is fine in this sort of event. Didn't really do good at the Barracuda last week. Finished tied for 61st, but I'd be fine getting behind him. Mackenzie Hughes at 77. Mac Meisner, maybe he's the one. Mark Messier is as Mayo says at 76, coming off the fourth place finish. He had a 16th before that, 20th. Maybe he's the one that gets the ownership in this range. Probably a pretty solid play. Bo Hostler. And Matt Wallace at 7,500. Sure. So there's just a lot of viable options in this range. I imagine, ownership does get spread out, so you can kind of just play your guys when the dust settles, going into Thursday.
Yeah, and I'll have to see if anything really pops. When we get to the Wednesday show, we'll talk about it if there's some crazy pop off the page value that everybody's landing on. But for early on, it definitely looks. And when you add the point that I was just going to say also, when you add earlier what I talked about with 43 guys now in the 7K range, it's going to be leverage that you can leverage to be had on pretty much anyone you want. We talked earlier about the chalk hitting, some of the lineups at the top this week. Yes, Sungjae was 18% in the Millie Maker and Xander was 16, but with Rahm, JT 8-5, Burns 4, Henley 7, Billy Horschel 1, all these guys being so low owned. I mean, I could see that again here. And so you can mix some of these guys. You just don't want to go all in on all these chalk guys, because this is typically an event too where we see some carnage, right? Water out there, all of that stuff. So I was there last year. It's definitely, I can see why. And you're kind of like pins and needles on every shot, especially near that cut line. When you get there on Friday, you're like, man, please just get up over on the 18th and land on the green. Even if it's just a par, I'm fine with it. Even though it should be a birdie, it's just one of those things. So I think we see that. I tell you what, though, this Mac Meisner guy, I vouched for this dude, and then I had to watch him play for 9 holes plus yesterday, just kicking it over to the Barracuda. He has this pre-shot routine that is so tilting. It's ridiculous. I would never want to I'm so happy we don't have to watch him very often. After that, I'm not sure if I can be a backer at this point. He just does it every single time. So I don't know if I'm going to be in on him, but Rico Hoey, he's been coming through lately. He's got some good results. Chan Kim, 7,600. Thor, I think it was Bader Bear, a guy here earlier. He mentioned the kids have been showing out. Their games may just be superior. It looks like it. They just seem to care. They care a lot, but it's also their, what's the right word for it? But they don't care as much. They will fire away and take whatever happens because there's less to lose, more to gain. And so Clanton, Dunlap, Thor, Shipley looked, I think he was pretty good last week too. So he's down at 73 here in a second, but I like these guys that some are amateurs turned pro. So in this spot here, I think this is a spot we can get to with some of these guys. So I'll definitely have interest on that range. And then the lower range seems to have all the guys, right? Hoop, you got, let me see here, 30 guys from 7,400 down to 7,000. Yeah. So maybe just a few names that stand out to you. Your guy Svensson back in the mix there. Get in on him.
In on Svensson, Grazerman. He's been playing very well. 13th, 21st, 26th, 31st, 21st at the U.S. Open. I think he's a strong option. Andrew Novak, Seamus Power. There's a lot of guys here for me. Shipley, I'm with you on that. And I do like the angle of the younger guys for sure. Knapp, Eckroat, Silverman. I think Pam put Silverman in the chat at 7,200. Yeah, he's been playing solid. A lot of made cuts. Looks like 7 or 8 straight made cuts for him at 7,200. Can he make the cut, get into the top 15, 20? I think Silverman can, so I do like him at 7,200. Cootie coming in at 71, coming off the second place finish, and the guy that's made 6 cuts in a row. So you're getting some good value down here. Rio, I always kind of play. He's at 71. Andrew Putnam, 7K flat. Berger, 7K flat. There's plays here, a lot of plays. And just looking at this, for me, I definitely prefer the lower sevens opposed to the uppers. I think I'm going to probably play more of these lower 7 guys than the upper 7 guys. But there's a lot in this range just because of the sheer number of golfers, like you've mentioned. What'd you say? It's like 40, 43. Like, that's a huge number in this price range. And that's obviously a product of the no 5K range. If there was a 5K range, all these guys would be in the 6K range. So no 5K range, 7K gets flooded with a lot of guys. And like we both said, that's going to just spread out the ownership here because there's so many viable options in this range. So easy to get leverage on the ones you feel the best about playing this week.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me, again, just forget the names, the picks, and the plays, focus on the process. That's what we do, is like Cam Champ, first and 16th, 2 years ago and the year before that he won. But like, there's not much course history that besides like a couple guys last year did good, for example. So like Adam Hadwin back in the day at 7,900. Johnny Vegas got a second 3 years ago. Like maybe Doug Gim because he's got 3 decent finishes over 4 years. But other than that, there's not much. Like people will say, okay, Dylan Wu came 5th last year, but what else? Miscut the year before, didn't play before that. Sam Ryder, 7th miscut, 25th miscut. Maybe they play him, but like I don't think anyone's going to be going based off that. So it's going to be more recent form in this range, and then just betting odds and value and stuff like that will lead into it. So, like Rin says here, the fact you can get Knapp, Shipley, and Eckroat have a $9,400 average. I don't hate that. Go Collect brought up Knapp as well. It's another DGen line. Degenerate 75 always says it. Don't sleep on Knapp, but he also says play Knapp when he plays against the slapdicks. That's this would be a week for that. So definitely think that's a possibility as well. But tons of options down here, where I think it's going to become just sort of pick the guys you want, because I don't see early on, at least, many that are going to just skyrocket up in ownership with having 43 options. It's going to get more spread out, and one guy's 12 and one guy's 8. And there's going to be people wrong on the projections where they think one guy's 12 and he's 8 and the guy that's 8 is 13 or 15 or something. So I think this is kind of the range where you're just going to have to pick your poison. But like you said, with 30 guys, 7,400 and below, you got tons of options down there that you can make your choices that way. Any thoughts on this upper 6K range? Is anything that stands out to you there? Because I feel like there's a lot of guys still that you could make the case for. The Shanks and the Gotterups could have been up there. The Bramletts, the Zach Blairs, all the Smalleys, the ones, all these guys could have been priced up just slightly more, but they stopped because there was, already 43 guys. So I don't really think there's a huge difference yet, but I think after that, it does kind of drop off a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to cover this before I get into the 6K range, the most disrespectful price tag, and it's definitely Grazerman at 7,400. I think he could easily be in the 8K range this week as well as he's playing. So most disrespectful price tag on the slate is definitely going to be Grazerman at 7,400. In the 6K range, it's hard on a Monday to really, dive deep into the 6K range because there's just so many guys down here. But some names, Ben Coles has had some pretty good finishes. Someone mentioned Toasty at 68, Neesmith, Shank, Davis Riley, 67, Joseph Bramlett, 67. I think those are names that people can get behind playing this week. Going down, I don't know. There's not a ton actually. Now that I start looking at it, so I don't know. I really prefer some of these guys in the 7K range, finding a way up to the 7s instead of settling on a lot of these 6K guys. But again, it's early, it's Monday, a lot could change, but I don't necessarily love what I'm seeing here in the 6K range, which does make sense. I mean, it's a very weak field event. Once you get down here, then it's going to get pretty gross in a hurry. So not a ton right out of the bat. Right out of the gate that I think I like this week in the 6K range, just not much.
And that's why I think too, like I said earlier, like it sets up for you just don't even need to go down here, but it's just, that's because there's 43 guys and the way it sets up top, people like the 8Ks, they all stand out. That makes sense. Your boy Callum Tarrant, he got 21st recently, so that we thought he was back and then he missed the cut again last week, but 7th and 13th here. So he actually does have a couple good results here the last 2 years if people were looking at that. But I will say, just going back to your most disrespectful and the range of that, it's like that's where I think people are going to end up on some of these guys, because when you look at it, they're going to have to go off of the recent form. And Meisner, you talked about it, 20th, 16th, 4th. Chan Kim, 12th, 10th, 29th. Harry Hall coming off a win, 12th, 31st, sort of before that. Hoey, Rico, 8th, 2nd, 26th, 6th. Johnny Vegas, 20th and 25th. So it's going to be all based on the recent form. Fishburne actually has 3rd at the Barracuda, 15th, 25th. He's been in the mix a little bit. Shipley could have done a lot better yesterday, I think, from all the stuff I looked at, and has a 6th, the 20th, 26th, and some real big boy events too in the mix there. So I think this is going to be where everybody ends up, and they're just going to go based on this recent form and then whatever lines up with the betting odds. So you could build your lineups out based off of that and then see how you want your lineups to look. But I think that's going to be the case here, right? Where people are going to be looking at that. Down low, it's always going to be too, without getting into the weeds and the names too much. Like, what's this one I just saw here? 4 PGA cuts in a row at 6,300 for Smotherman. Like, yeah, if that's your guy, you know what I'm going to tell you about that. Like, pick your guy. But he also has 61st, 54th, 65th, 70th, 70th, miscut. So if that's your angle and your take, play him. But play enough, right? Or play some that you can actually get an angle in, so it's not just one lineup with him because you thought that was right and then all the other stuff is wrong and it didn't matter anyway. So I don't see a ton, though, down here. Besides one that I got to bring up. Your boy usually is mentioned, is Adam Schenk. We talked about him, 67. My boy, the flow chart, full motion, baby. We're back at it again. Troy Merritt, what do we got here? Is Troy Merritt playing? Yes. Is he cheap? Yes. Can it be, or is it usually a birdie fest? Yes. Do we play him? Yes. That's really what it comes down to. Up and down results with him lately, up and down results here, but 6,500 makes the cuts, make the birdies. Let's see it. So he's a guy that I'll mention. Other than that, the hoop, I don't have much down here at all. And I think that is the case of no 5K range, where they just slammed a bunch of guys down here for the leftovers. After you get past 6,500, there is 47 names, and there's going to be more. And I also should note, too, we forgot to mention about Glover is at 7,100 and Werenski at 6,300. WD'd just before the show went on, and 4 other guys are in, and there'll be other stuff too. So just keep an eye on that. We'll have it all covered over at SHIPIT Nation and in Discord over there as well. But yeah, there's almost 50 guys 6,500 and below. That's just your new dumpster this week. So you really don't even have to go there if you don't want to.
Yeah, kind of the same boat. Like, I can't imagine there's going to be many guys down there that I play. I mean, most likely it's going to be 0. The pricing soft. I just, from going through the show, I'll be able to get everything I want, which without, diving super, super deep into the 6K range. So that's my initial read at this point. What I said in the opening remains true. Birdie Fest, soft pricing, weak field. Those are 3 things you need to know about this week. We'll obviously be back Wednesday for a more, in-depth look into the field, have some more, stronger concrete takes. But in terms of the first look for the 3M Open, I'm good.
Yeah, and I think quickly, too, just we forgot to mention earlier, this is another thing that people brought up this week. Somebody hopped in the Discord. They won with the free Showdown mini course. They won at Showdown and then joined up and became a member and came to tell us that, which I thought was another really cool story, just to say, again, watch these free shows. If you can't sign up, that's fine. If you don't want to, that's fine. We don't care. We do all our shows for free. We do all this stuff that goes with it. But somebody signed up and got this free course, went out and put it to good work, shipped the slate, and then joined as a member right after and said, why not? Like, I just took my profits and put them back in, and now I'll invest in myself. I want to get the full course. I want to be able to see what's going on and have all of the coverage that you guys have when it comes to PGA, especially with Showdown, seeing all those winners that I showed earlier. So keep that in mind. If you are checking us out for football, we already brought this up on our launch show, but just the $299 package deal versus the industry, we're not afraid to show it off when it's just we don't talk badly about our competition, but we will talk correctly and factually about the pricing across the industry. And it's no different than anything else, but it does apply right now, because if you get the NFL package for $299, it's right there on the site. You just click that banner at the top. You do get the remainder of PGA for free, but you also get all the other all access. I'm just using it because it's a PGA show. You get the rest of the PGA season for free. MMA, MLB, NASCAR, all the other stuff we got going on. And then you're going to get college football content for free as well. It includes the optimizer for the sports we cover it for, which are PGA, MLB, MMA, NBA when it comes back around, and then NFL. We'll have it, of course, for both Classic and Showdown slate. Hoop, anything else before we get out of here, man? That's all I got for today.
Yeah, UFC pay-per-view this weekend as well. It's like, what, 304 maybe? I'm not sure what is it, 304? Yeah, that's this weekend. And if you do sign up for one of these packages, you'll get all that content, obviously, for free. And, yeah, it's a great time to join. Like I said in the opening, if you're thinking about being with us for NFL season, now's the time. I mean, you get more value for your money, essentially. You're going to get all access leading up to NFL. So it's a no-brainer time to join right now. Best value you'll get.
100%. If you're already a member, get in the Discord now. Again, the first 200 will get into this free roll for a chance to win a $100 single entry ticket from our guy Bader Bear. Jason, we appreciate you. We appreciate everybody out there for watching. Thank you guys for supporting. Do us a favor on the way out. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it.